Hipswitch and Huggledug's Christmas Heist, Chapter 4. Now, before the hullabaloo got hopping in the house, with Hipswitch letting Randolph loose to warn Micah that Harold Blevins was going to shoot him through the bathroom window, before all that, Bobby Blevins was in the garage having found his parents' not so cleverly hidden Christmas presents. In fact, Bobby had found his present for that year, a brand new Nikon camera with a timer and tripod. He'd set up the camera in secret and was just about to snap a ha-ha selfie to show his mom on Christmas morning when the alarm went up. He left the camera in the corner, timer set, waiting for someone to press the silver button to take that sneaky selfie. And then he ran into the snow in his socks, a hatchet in hand, and his mom hollering, "Harold! Bobby!" Harold tromped out into the snow and tossed his son a set of boots. "We'll need that hatchet to hack off that donkey's antlers." "Antlers?" Bobby kicked into his boots. "For the wall in the basement?" "Grab your coat, kid. We're going to fill the freezer tonight." "Roast moose for Christmas," Bobby said and licked his zitty lips. "Off we go, boy." And off they went in search of Micah the Moose, who was, at that very moment, tucked away in the heart of the grove with Hipswitch, both of them wondering frantically what Huggledug was doing inside the Blevins' house. Now, inside the house, Huggledug was shroven in a corner, eyes wide, ears perked, listening as the Blevins packed themselves off into the woods. First Bobby with his hatchet, then Harold with his gun, then Mrs. Blevins, Belinda, Harold called her, trucking along a trailer behind the family's four-wheeler. Soon the house was empty, except for Huggledug, who now hopped out from his corner and tore into the kitchen, circling the island twice in search of nuts he couldn't find, and then up he hopped onto an open cupboard, but all he found was canned sardines, peanut butter, and soda biscuits. Ooh, peanut butter. He licked the lip of the peanut butter jar longingly, and then leapt down and darted into the living room. What to do? He scurried from perch to perch, and then back to the kitchen where he checked the bread box, raided the cereal cupboard, knocked over the Cheerios, and then licked the honey stick in its jar, and then again, twice more, for good measure. He loved honey. He was about to give up his quest for the Christmas nuts when his claw tore through a plastic bag tucked under a box of dried pasta, and immediately he smelled walnuts. Glorious, teeth-chittering, tail-shivering, hide 'em from your best friend, walnuts. Oh, and kiss me, cashews, and pray to God, peanuts, nuts, nuts, glorious nuts. He sat down, shut for, ate a fifth for good measure, and then remembered his mission and sacrifice of Micah the Moose. Bound now, he was sure, for the Blevins' freezer. He dragged the nuts out of the cupboard across the kitchen floor and tried to squeeze them through the pipe. But the bag was too big for the pipe. Bigger than Hipswitch's popcorn-stuffed face was this Santa-sized sack of nuts. And then something occurred to Huggledug, bright, quick-thinking chipmunk that he was. Hadn't he survived Bobby's pellet gun? And Harold's rat poison? And the 3 psychotic barn cats that had carried off all of his brothers and sisters? He had, in fact. And so it occurred to Huggledug to persist, and so he dragged the nuts out the side door into the garage, which had been left open by Bobby Blevins'. All he needed to do was jump switch the door latch to the outside, and then off with the nuts. But suddenly he remembered that he'd forgotten Micah's carrots. But what would carrots matter if the giant dimwit wound up sausage in the Blevins' deep freeze? He finally decided, after eating 3 more nuts, that it was a matter of honor, and so he raided Belinda Blevins' freezer for a big bag of hunter orange carrots and dragged those 2 into the garage, where he almost jiggled loose the power cord for Belinda's double-sized slow cooker, in which she had placed her famous honey-glazed ham. for the eve before the eve of Christmas Eve dinner. Huggledug, in his hurry, almost knocked the power cord loose of its socket, but fortunately did not, managing to drag the carrots to the bag of nuts, both just out of sight behind Harold Blevins' jacked-up pickup truck. And there sat Huggledug in the Blevins' garage, munching Christmas nuts as Hipswitch conferred in the grove with Micah the moose, Liam the owl, and Caleb Russell Eli the resident black bear. "Tweet-hoo! They're scouring the woods as we speak," said Liam, "and I should know, given my—" "Given your owly eyes," grumbled Caleb the bear. "We've heard it all before, you know." "The point," snapped the owl, "is that they'll not stop until they have Micah." "Well, then we need to sneak Micah across the highway," whispered Hipswitch, wary of the owl, who seemed strangely interested in helping them. "Tweet-hoo!" Liam huffed. "Sneak a moose." "Easier for me to hibernate in your dray," Caleb said to Hipswitch. "I can sneak," said Micah. "Just most times I'd rather not." "Who goes there?" hooted Liam in alarm, and all the animals shrove stock still, all of them hearing in the distance Blevins is arguing. "Listen," hissed Hipswitch, and nearby they heard Belinda Blevins's, "If I had a gun, Harold, then that moose would be on its way to the freezer right now." "Oh, you shot a bear in the eye once," said Harold. "Big whoopsie deal." "That was Boniferous Brownface," whispered Caleb to his fellow critters. "We shared a den last winter. That's why I don't sleep winters no more." "Shh!" hissed Hipswitch. "We've lost the trail," said Harold. Closer now. Hipswitch hopped 6 branches above his dray to see if he could spy the humans. The 3 of them were just outside the grove now. "Bobby!" shrieked Belinda. "Do you got that hatchet?" "Yeah, Mom," said Bobby. Hipswitch saw the pimply boy twirl the hatchet a time or two, and then Belinda said, "Well, we're out here, so we may as well drop a Christmas tree." "I marked a good one in the grove," Bobby said, and Hipswitch looked down below him at the orange ribbon tied just below his dray. Huggledug had wondered earlier what it was, and now Hipswitch knew. His tree! His tree was to be cut down and dragged inside the Blevins' house. Well, sure enough, as the other animals faded into the bush, Caleb the bear whispering that he'd help Micah across the highway, and Liam hoo-hooing softly that he'd scout the way, the Blevinses hacked their way into the grove. The humans flicked on flashlights in the darkness. They muttered and farted loudly until Bobby shrieked, "Here it is! My tree!" Hipswitch shrove still as a mouse in a cat's shadow. "Well," said Harold Blevins, "since you picked it out, you can cut it down." Bobby looked sullenly at the hatchet in his hands. "But, Dad—" "But, Bobby," Belinda mimicked her whiny son, "cut it down." Back in the garage, Huggledug was still pondering how he'd get Micah his carrots, if the poor moose was still alive, that is, when he heard Micah's voice outside the garage. "But they promised me carrots." "Do you want carrots or to live another day?" said a gruff voice Huggledug recognized as Caleb the bear. Huggledug jumped off a gas can onto the side door's handle. He had to get their attention without scaring them off. The door squeaked open, but just as Micah and Caleb were about to bolt, the moose wearing what looked like a tall feathery top hat, Huggledug cried, "It's me, Huggledug!" The moose, the bear, and the owl, who was perched between Micah's ears, shrove stock still in the Blevins' driveway. "Huggledug," said Micah, "how did you get in the garage?" "Quick!" hissed Huggledug. Hearing the Blevins' four-wheeler rev in the woods, the chipmunk scurried inside the garage, claw climbed the wall, and hit the switch for the automatic door opener. The automatic garage door opener vroomed open to reveal the blinking eyes of Micah the moose, Liam the owl, who still looked like a hat on Micah's head, and Caleb the bear. All 3 of them stared unbelievingly at Huggledug, who held forth a single, enormous, deliciously orange carrot. "Carrots!" Micah sneezed, and Liam blinked. "An owl!" screeched Huggledug, dropping the carrot. "The Blevinses!" hooted Liam. "To-wit-to-hoo! Hide!" And Liam, Malachi Tailfeather, swooped to a treetop while Micah went to leap the fence into the field, but stopped when the four-wheeler's headlights lit up the ground between him and the fence. "Inside!" hissed Huggledug, and the bear and the moose dodged inside the garage as the chipmunk hit the switch to close the garage door, thinking to lock the owl and the humans outside. But Liam screeched from his treetop perch and swooped under the lip of the closing garage door just above the automatic sensor, and the door slammed shut.